Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and well, Pioneer Masters is a set I have been waiting for a long time here on Arena, and now that it's here, I have some mixed feelings about it. Let's talk about it from a unique budget perspective, shall we? But before we get into all that, take just a moment to like, comment, and subscribe, because that kind of thing really keeps this boat moving. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. I think the best place to start this sort of conversation is by comparing the results that we got with the set to what the Arena team had stated was the goal, which in short was to bring Explorer in line and replace it with Pioneer. And for large part, I think they have accomplished that. A lot of the cards that Explorer was missing at a competitive level versus the broader Pioneer format are really well addressed in this. However, at the same time, there's a number of Tier 2 fringe cards that don't appear to have been addressed at all, which means this problem is going to continue. Explorer is going to continue being not quite Pioneer. And up to about a week ago, I really thought that they were going to do an official name change and Explorer was going to go away and just be replaced with Pioneer as the signature format on Arena over Explorer. But it's things like those fringe Tier 2 cards that I just don't believe that's what's going to happen. They have in fact left the door open for this to continue being a problem. And I think in part that is in order to, a couple years down the road, do Pioneer Masters 2 as another source of revenue to once again try and address this problem. And maybe that's a little disingenuous. Maybe I'm overthinking it. It could be either way. Given Pioneer Masters' goal of bringing Explorer in line with Paper Pioneer, it makes sense perfectly and logically that this set is going to be all reprints. It's not designed to introduce new things into the format because it's not getting printed in paper, it's just an Arena release. But with that in mind, the number of Arena reprints being shown in this set is a little daunting. For instance, they reprinted the entire Gates Matter cycle, most of which was just reintroduced to Arena for a second and now third time through the Foundation set. Virtually all of the uncommon dual modal face lands, which are particularly good cards for budget players, but they were already available on Arena. So we already had the ability to craft them. We didn't really need them added to this set. Mentor of the Meek, for instance, not only was this already available at Arena, but this is its, and I'm not joking here, third printing in 30 days on Arena, as it was in both the Jumpstart collection and Foundations. At two different rarities, no less. I mean, we have enough of this card, folks. We don't need more. And these are just examples that jumped out to me only in white, casually flipping through the cards. Overall, my impression was that about 1/3 of the lower rarity cards were in fact Arena reprints. And let me preface that by saying that I in no way took an official count or did any sort of scientific analysis. That was just my impression. And that's an awful lot of reprints for a set whose goal is stated to be updating a format and making it more playable in line with paper, to have so many of the cards already have existed on the client. And believe me when I say I understand that most of these lower rarity choices were made to create and support a limited play experience built around Pioneer Masters. In fact, this play experience is going to feel very familiar, with a lot of the two-color archetypes being, well, what has become go-to standards, and very similar to what we saw recently with Foundations. Things like a blue-white skies, a black-red sacrifice deck, black-green graveyard, red-green stompy, blue-red spells, and white-green tokens all make an appearance here and have a very similar feel once again to what we were just drafting and in many cases are still drafting in Foundations. And in fact, I think the Arena team has kind of showed their hand that they're a little concerned about the limited play experience that they have provided, as they have decided to create an almost FOMO short-term availability with this by introducing 3 bonus sheet sub-events. So depending upon when you played Seal or Draft for this environment, there's going to be another series of cards or potentially just more of the same. They really haven't been very clear on that, introduced into the environments. They usually only do this when there is some concern about selling enough of this limited play experience to justify its creation. For instance, Planeswalkers will be featured December 10th through the 24th, Spells for December 24th through the 7th, and then finally Devotion the 7th through the 21st. Much like when we talked about the Foundation's Jumpstart product, the Pioneer Masters is another one of those cases where you really need to know and understand yourself as a player now and in the future, how you are engaging with the game and how you want to be engaging with the game. Because frankly, if you are a rotational player who spends most or all of their time playing Standard or Alchemy, this set really doesn't have a lot to offer for you. On the other hand, if you are primarily a timeless Explorer, Brawl, limited, historic player, then this set does have some opportunities, particularly for those Explorer players that want to be more competitive. So again, take a good hard look in the mirror, make sure you understand yourself before you start spending your resources on this that may not really be your cup of tea. And regardless of what your primary play mode is, be it rotation or eternal formats, if you are looking at this limited environment as a way to bridge, say, a standard playable card base into more eternal formats, definitely look for those archetypes like blue-white skies that currently exist very prominently in both. Now, I'm sure this particular perspective has sounded rather negative up to this point, but rest assured this Pioneer Master set does have some things to offer for us budget players. The first, of course, is Darksteel Ingot, particularly if you are a Brawl player either as your primary or secondary format of choice. This brings fixing as an indestructible rock and definitely needs to be a one-of in your collection. Often as budget players, we simply don't have all the resources we would like, so we don't necessarily have all of the copies of cards that we would like to have in our deck and our collection, and as such, tutors become a very valuable resource for us as budget players because they often create a lower wildcard opportunity to functionally play additional copies of our more scarce cards. And Pioneer Masters brings 2 important ones to the table. They are both uncommons, and while they're both white and that's going to limit their playability to some degree, they're both very powerful. Open the Armory, for instance, is a meta-playable card and one of those things that really needed to be in this set, and lo and behold, they did it. It allows you to search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle for just 2 mana at sorcery speed. Similarly, Call of the Gatewatch allows you to do the same thing with a Planeswalker, though. Planeswalkers are very often mythic and one of those cards that we just never seem to have as many of them as we want. Both of these tutors should at least be one-ofs in your collection if you're playing these formats at all, as they really are going to be functional additional copies of more scarce cards. Heliod's Pilgrim is also in this set. It's a 1/2/3 mana human cleric creature, and when it enters, you may search your library for an aura card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and then shuffle. Heliod's Pilgrim was, of course, already available on the Arena client, so it's a little less noteworthy. So there it is, guys. That's what's on my radar with regards to Pioneer Masters, my thoughts on it. I will primarily be avoiding this set. I will do a couple of the draft environments, mostly to create content for the community. In other words, so you may not have to. And I will be crafting cards as I need them for decks. I highlighted some of the ones that I think are really serious considerations, but beyond that, it's going to be very subjective about how you use the different formats and how you engage in deck building. I would really only craft the cards as needed for specific decks. But hey, enough about what I think. Be sure to get down in the comments, let me know what you think about this set, how you plan to engage with it, and what cards and decks are you excited about. And before we go, while every member of this community is important to me, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to those patrons providing financial support and keeping the Stronghold from being a complete financial black hole. And of course, let me leave you with some suggestions for your next step here on the channel.